Hey, hi, hello. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are gonna do a chit chat get ready with me video since a lot of us are going through a lot. And I thought now is a perfect time to do a chit chat get ready with me, talk about something we could all relate to because some of us have to stay indoors for a while and we may be sick and tired of our neighbors already, and I have a lot to tell about past neighbors I've had, all while reviewing the Wet n Wild Bretman rock collection. Gotta support my Asian community of content creators. Bretman Rock, been following him forever, ever since like he was still going to high school and filming videos on his way to class. And I'm so proud of all content creators that create amazing collaborations with companies. So today we're going to test this out, look at these eyeshadows, look at the product to really see how pigmented it is, and I'm looking for colors, I'm looking for scents. I heard some of these smell like coconut. Super excited while talking about crazy neighbors because I've had a long history of the craziest neighbors. I know everything that's going on with my neighborhood because I have to work from home, so maybe that's why I just know a lot more. Let's get started. Gonna prep my skin with some moisturizers. Let me tell you, I didn't move out of my parents' house till I was in my 20s. I want to say almost, I think around mid-20s. If you guys didn't know, I grew up in a mixed household that was a very strict Asian mother and a dad who's mostly native, and it's like not an odd upbringing but kind of strict than most people. You guys saw my white girl living in an Asian family video. We're not gonna touch more about that, but that's why like my family didn't want me to move out till I was ready. So when I first moved out, I moved into the cutest, smallest, it should have been considered, honestly, putting primer on, a studio apartment, how small this place was. It was first $1,200 a month, but it went up to $1,300 while I lived there. It was the cutest, tiniest Spanish style home that was 2 stories that they separated into a 3 apartment duplex. This will come in handy with the story later. We've got some mascara. We've got loose highlighter and 3 lip glosses. We have a 3-in-1 face mist. I can't wait to use this mascara. Even though I don't use mascara unless it's waterproof, I'm gonna use this because it looks amazing. I just have to make sure I don't cry and that my contacts don't leak over my face. Look how cute. I can't do his tongue pops out well. And there's brushes. I forgot about the brushes. We've got 3 brushes, 1 for highlighter that he recommends. I saw the whole video on him promoting this. That is such a soft, pretty brush. Come on and open, Karen of packaging. Ooh, that's a good brush to pack shadow on. And we got a little blending brush because for us that may have more hooded eyes, this will work. It came out in a very cute box, great layout. This is sold out everywhere, so I feel like exquisite. This is the pièce de résistance, the main show in my opinion. This is the eyeshadow palette called Jungle Rock. We have a shadow called Coconut Connoisseur, Prowl, Liar, and Cheetah. Don't Be Lion, rar, like lion. King of the Jungle, Anaconda, Venomous, Flamingo, Pounce on Him, Ape Shit, Deeper, Big, Peacock Energy, Feeling Myself, 2 Can Play That Game, and Alpha. The shadows I'm most impressed with on this is Big, Peacock Energy because it's not many very sparkly multi-dimensional shadows that are green like that you see. Alpha is pretty. I love sparkly. I love black. Venomous is one that I'm really looking forward to because you usually see ones like Anaconda in palettes, but not Venomous. It's more of a deeper jungle foresty green. And orange, Pounce on Them. You don't see many orange shadows in collabs, especially in my opinion. I know exactly what I'm gonna do now. I'm gonna grab some of my P. Louise concealer and do my shadow first because I'm expecting these to be a lot of pigment. There's a lot of dark colors, a lot of very pigmented colors. There's some neutrals, but I mean the only neutrals I really see is this top row and this brown. Everything else is like, whoa. The first place I lived in was in Pasadena, California. It is like a lot of older people, rich money mixed with some college students who might have richer parents. South Pasadena is not as upscale as most of the, I lived on this crazy hill in Pasadena, right? And I only found this apartment and got it because the person that was going to be my neighbor, actually, I've known since I was literally born. He's best friends with my dad. And I'm like, cool. So I was nervous living by myself because people were finding out where I lived when I lived with my parents, and they would wait outside my house in cars, and it was a whole ordeal. And I'm like, well, at least here I know someone if they see a weird car or something. And it was a very secluded hill. It was like a two-way street, only one car could fit on it, and it was up a steep slope hill, so it literally looked like I was just driving up someone's driveway. And at the top of the hill was one of the oldest trees in that town, and it was huge, and there was this Victorian mansion at top that they also turned into a duplex. And on the hill there's also the oldest house in the town on that hill too, apart from that Victorian mansion that was a horse stable back in the day that they turned into a house. It's so historical, so beautiful. I used to run every day, go on top of the hill, look at this tree. I was in paradise, right? But it would get so hot there, oh my gosh. It was like, it would get to 110 every day in the summer, and then in the winter it would get to the 40s, which is a big difference, right? So I would run to this hill, lived alone. So when you look at our Spanish style duplex, the entrance of the house was where my neighbor that I knew lived, and his was more on the right side of the house, and I was on the very left. And then to the left it looked like a side door of the house, but that was my entrance door. And this is the place that I talk about that was really haunted. I filmed a lot of my videos when my career really popped off on YouTube. That took up the first floor, and the bottom story was a whole separate apartment that whoever we rented from lived there. It was just like rich people, and they had their kids, honestly, like have their first job out of college to be the landlord to rent to us. So it was really odd because they were always my age or younger, fresh out of college, which no shade, but just odd. And the way it was, I was so lucky because to the left of the house was a parking spot, and that was my parking spot, because when you park in it and you look in the window of the house, those were like my kitchen, my living room, the rooms I lived in. And so whoever lived on the left side, which was me, got to have that parking spot. So I was so fortunate because all of the other people that lived there had to share one garage. And it was a 2-car garage, so it wasn't a big deal, I guess, but it was like this such a steep hill that our backyard was just hill. So you had to like walk up from the garage, and I lived alone, to my place would be a kind of a far walk up a hill. So this is my first time living alone. I would hear weird things, and it turned out to be owls, which is cool because we had a lot of trees and nature on our hill. But then I heard other noises, and then I would ask my neighbors about the noises if I got really paranoid. I'm a paranoid, anxious person to begin with. But when I asked my neighbors and they heard it too, I was like, oh, I'm not crazy. They're like, yeah, I heard that too. And turns out, one night when my neighbor heard, this looks like a June bug. When my neighbor heard noises, she looked outside of her window. She was the landlord at the bottom floor, and there was a man staring back at her. And it was a peeping Tom in town that was peeping not only into our windows, but we found out other people's houses. We lived on this hill that had really rich homes. It was like a mix of like cheaper duplexes and super rich $1 million homes. And not only was this guy like, we think he was like, you know, doing some dirty deeds in the bushes while looking at women specifically. Not only was he doing that, but then there started to be like, I guess this one isn't a neighbor story, but there started to be like people breaking into these richer people's homes and robbing them. No one robbed us because we weren't part of the rich neighborhood. We just lived in this little Spanish style house. It was so freaking cute, guys, but it was just like the air conditioning would always break. There was, when I first moved in, I would wake up and there'd be spiders hanging from the ceiling, because just so happens I moved into this place when they were reconstructing my little front window, and underneath when they were reconstructing, took out the old like paneling of the window, there was a spider's nest underneath, and I'm terrified of spiders. And they disturbed all these babies that went up into my air conditioning system, dropped down to visit me. It was a whole ordeal. I think that's what honestly got to the air conditioning that really started making it break. in my opinion. And not only did I have this peeping Tom, but I told you there was like really expensive houses along with our places that were expensive homes that turned into duplexes. So this one lady across the street, she was friends with the guy that was like my neighbor that I knew, but she did not want to be friends with me. You know those people who like you meet them and like you just know that they don't like you and they make it known? She was one of those people. I didn't do anything to her. Some people, you move in and they just don't like change, and so they just instantly hate you. And it's so upsetting because like I think I'm a pretty nice person and I try to be nice to this woman all the time. I would compliment her garden. I would like make sure if I got her mail that she was home when I gave it to her, so no one stole her mail with all that other stuff going on. She had a dog and I made sure that he got in if like I felt like, oh, where is she, but her dog's out, stuff like that. But it's like some people, they just are so pressed and angry, and it might not even be about you, but like you could be the nicest, sweetest peach and they don't care. Just how it is. She was one of those people, and it was to the point where she was so obsessed with hating me that she would dig in our trash. That was not her trash, it was our duplex's trash. We had 2 trash bins that were shared between the 3 of us for our place, and she was across the street, not even in our building. She would dig in our trash and speculate, oh, whose trash is this? Oh, they didn't shred their papers and important bills. I'm gonna knock on their door and say, you don't know how to throw away your trash well enough. You have important papers they didn't shred. I shred all of my important bills, stuff like that. I'm just a paranoid person, so I just do everything extra to clean my stuff, to shred my papers, just everything under the sun that you think your grandma warned you about. I know it all and I try to do it. She knocked on my door. Excuse me, you didn't shred your papers, and I'm just looking out for you as a friend and a good neighbor that you didn't shred your papers because someone could steal your identity. I was being really nice. I'm like, thank you so much for letting me know, but I shred all my papers. I don't know whose mail you have or been digging in the trash. I don't know whose mail that is. I throw out all my trash and I shred it beforehand, but it's not my trash. So that made her pissed off, and there was more than one girl, just me living in that duplex at the time. Like my landlord was a female and she was younger than me, so it was probably her, to be honest, but she was like, she knew that that was the landlord, so she didn't want to bug her, and she just had an issue with me because I literally looked 17 years old, living by myself. Everyone probably thought my dad paid for everything, or my family, my parents, I had rich parents or something, because I'm living in such a bougie town by myself, but I paid for everything on my own. That's just not the type of person I am. And this woman hated me so bad, did not understand. So on top of that, like her and my neighbor guy, I didn't tell him that she hated me. I don't want to ruin friendships. Say you're my good friend and you're friends with someone who I know just does not like me, or I don't like them. I'm not going to tell you that unless you ask me, because people's relationships with other people are totally different. I might have a great relationship with someone, and you with the same person might have a terrible relationship with them. It depends on the day, how they're feeling, how are you feeling, how you interact. Some personalities just don't mix, and I know that now. So I don't bother people like, I don't like your friend. I'm not that type of person. So I didn't tell him that this lady's being shady to me and he's best friends with this woman. Like, they were such best friends that they would watch each other's plants, water each other's gardens and yards, and they had keys for their houses. They would park someone's car on their property, she parked her car on his property. They would feed each other's cats and animals and dogs. It was like it's like being a couple with someone, but you're not together. I feel like she liked my neighbor, that's why she was, because they were the same age. And he was like single most of the time that I was there. I wasn't in his business. I feel like she knew that whatever she did, she was just hoping that I would rat her out to him, since that was our mutual friend guy. But I'm not shady. I'm grown. I'm not that type of person. You might have ratted me out to him. I don't care. You can say whatever you want. I never did anything to her. You know, the Karen type. I feel like maybe she also thought I was stupid because I remember when I first moved in, I was pulling into my parking spot was on a hill. So you're going up a hill and you have to go to another hill that my parking spot was on. So once you let go of that brake, you're going immediately into the one single car wide lane that both traffics are going through, and she had like this huge rock formation that goes into her yard on her side of her property hill, and my car just smashed into there. It didn't damage my car, it wasn't a big thing. I think it just like made one little crack. It wasn't even like the brake light, it was like one of those little tiny lights near my license plate, so it wasn't like a major ordeal. But I went out to check, and so probably other people were like, what did this girl do? Why is she checking her car? Did she destroy something? Did she destroy my property? Did she destroy her car? So she was probably one of those nosy people that's always home, is like, oh, this girl just moved in and she's already acting crazy. So she just automatically like, I'm not gonna like her. She looks like she's 17 and she's like, I remember having like kind of a panicky breakdown where I was like, I don't deserve this place, is my first place, and I'm like crashing into the sides of the rocky hills, and this is such a hard. I remember none of my friends except my friend Carla and Goldie Starling on YouTube, they were the only people that would man up enough to like come visit me on my hill, because everybody else was like, girl, this hill is an issue to drive up. And I'm like, I know. That's when you really know who your true friends are back then, because if you have a difficult time getting to your house, it really shows who your friends are. Just saying. So yeah, I thought I was grown. I'm like, I just got my first apartment. You know, none of my friends will visit me. I was really depressed there actually. And so I think since I was so lonely and depressed, I'm like, I should get a boyfriend. And I remember one of my best friends, I'm not gonna tell you who, you guys are probably gonna know who it is, was like, girl, you need to get a boyfriend. Like, if you're so lonely and depressed, why don't you get a boyfriend? Why don't you go on those dating apps that everyone's going on? I'm like, okay. Why don't I? I'm like, I'm grown now. I should get a boyfriend, because when I lived with my parents, I dated around, but I never got a serious, probably never had a boyfriend more than a year when I lived with my parents. I never let them meet my parents because I knew that none of them were serious. So I'm like, why not get a boyfriend? Make it serious this time. So I went on the Tinder, got recognized 4 times on there, got off the Tinder after like a couple days. Then I'm like, I should get something that's more serious than Tinder. There has to be other things in Tinder that are more serious, because I'm looking for a lifelong mate. I guess at 26, 25, I'm like, I need to get serious here. Maybe I was just ready, I don't know, or just lonely, I don't know. So I was like, okay, let's do this. I, for some reason, looked up Zeus, and I'm like, perfect, I have to pay for this subscription. That means whoever's on here, I'm gonna have to, they're gonna be serious as I am, because they have to pay coin. It's not just swipe this, swipe that, it's free, let's hook up, let's do the deal. It's more serious. So I'm living my luxury life, traveling everywhere, to Texas, to North Carolina to see my family at weddings, to work at weddings, all these jobs. I was working in Hollywood, I was doing YouTube, living a great life, but I was still depressed and lonely, right? So I'm like, okay, let me start this Zeus site. The first, I remember it was Monsterpalooza. The day after Monsterpalooza, I went to Monsterpalooza alone that year, and I was like, shoot, man, I wish I had someone to go to these things with me, because Monsterpalooza is my absolute favorite convention of all time. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I got my account on Zeus. I had just come back from seeing my cousin in North Carolina. No, yeah, I think it was. That's when I opened my account, when I was in North Carolina, because this is part of the story. Because I opened my account in North Carolina, not California, so my settings were set to North Carolina, and was talking to the guy. This guy that I was crushing over. We talked for months. I'm talking over 6 months. Why did I put so much there? We talked for over 6 months, said the most lovey-dovey things to this guy, more than any I've said to anybody else ever in my life, right? Like, just a certain part of my heart was like unlocked. Like a limited edition release in my soul that I didn't know exists was unlocked to this guy. And that guy was Corey. And then when we're like, oh, let's hang out, let's make this the real deal, let's go on our first date, let's make this happen, I realized that he's in North Carolina because I forgot to unlock. I'm supposed to be talking about neighbors, I just realized. I forgot to set my settings to California. So he would come to my apartment in Pasadena at a single bed. We would share a single bed, a twin single person bed. That's true love. Then when we were doing dating for 2 years, that's a lot of money. Every month we would see each other. We decided to move in together, and so I searched for an apartment and I found one in Huntington Beach, California. And it was so much bigger. It was 2 bedroom. I had my own space to do my actual makeup studio because I was making all this money and doing all this stuff in my bedroom. So I had to take everything down to be able to even sleep. It was an ordeal. I can't believe I started my business in that 1 bedroom of my parents' house. They went to a 1 bedroom, almost practically studio apartment. It was insane. And the fact that my boyfriend, who I was really serious about, decided to share that twin bed in my old haunted apartment said a lot to me. So I'm like, we need a bigger place if we're gonna live together. And it didn't come with air conditioning, but it doesn't get above 90 in that town that we moved to, because a lot of the beach towns in California, if you didn't know this, in Southern California, 70% of them don't have air conditioning, central air. You have to buy your own. It sucked. And it was so expensive. We were paying like over $2,000 a month for 2 bedrooms. And we were 1 mile, our front door was 1 mile from the beach. And I guess that's why it was so expensive. And Corey's never lived in California. Well, I guess he did one time, but it was like Northern California, nowhere near Hollywood. And I was willing to, I got that for him because I know he hates the heat and it doesn't get above 90 there. And this is when all of our tales of crazy neighbors started, because California, it's insane because you think that with the amount of money you pay in rent that there would be less crazy people, because I feel like decent people have to make a lot of money to afford those places, because it was hard to find a place under $2,000 there. But no, that's when all of the crazy neighbor stuff started. So I moved into this place, right, in Huntington Beach, California. It's where they do a lot of surfing stuff. It's a very touristy town. It's beautiful, right? I was so excited to live there, to live near the beach, which is weird because I rarely went to the beach even when I lived there. And the pier, I don't even think I ever walked that pier over 2 years I lived there. Anyways, just realizing that now. The people there are insane. It's a lot of homeless people everywhere. And it was like not to get into politics, a lot of like white Republicans. And there's some Asian towns and Hispanic towns, but it's like not as diverse as I thought it was gonna be. And the people there, the reason why there's so much homelessness is because the drugs there were insane. Our neighbor, who I know was dealing drugs out of his garage, and he didn't live in our building, he lived like on the other side. So we lived in a duplex that had 3. What's with me and 3 duplex people? No, 4. So there was a huge place in front that was the biggest. It was 2-story, it had the most rooms, it had the most money you pay for. They had on-site laundry. I had to share a laundromat with the other 3 tenants of our duplex. Our backyard was mostly parking, and we each get a 1-car garage. So we had to share our parking, and then on the other side of the gate from our parking is more parking to the building next door that was almost exactly like ours. And the guy, there was this one guy over there who was, I'm telling you, like dealing drugs out of his garage, which whatever, do you, boo. But when your wife is like all strung out, his wife was so strung out, she would be screaming at walls. Him, nothing, walls, air, dogs, everything, late at night. And it was frightening because she was threatening to kill like herself, and it was a lot. So that was an ordeal. And then not only that, but like he had an attitude, because I feel like he didn't want to get caught dealing and doing these drugs, right? He was like, he had a souped up like lowrider bicycle, and anyone that was like he considered in his business, he just had an attitude with, even if they weren't and they're just being polite to him. For example, one time Corey, he parked his car in the garage so we had more room so I could get the parking spot since I moved my car more, and he just likes to come to work, you know, go out for a burger and come home. He's not like a social butterfly like I am. I like to like go do errands, go to a craft store, leave the house, go to a garden, visit my parent, all this stuff. So I got the outdoor thing. Anyway, so Corey was coming home from school that day, and the guy had always left like beach towels and like work towels. He was taking apart cars and had all these creepy people over. I say creepy because I know these guys were dealing and doing drugs, and they're just rough looking guys, and they were all drunk and screaming. And he would leave the towel over the fence that we shared, which is fine, but it would drop onto our side, and so that no one would run it over with our car. Like Corey would take it off the ground for him and just put it back on the fence, trying to be a good, nice neighbor. And he saw that as a threat. Like, what? So that happened one day when Corey got home. Being the nice neighbor, Corey put his like towel back on the fence for him because it fell on the dirty ground on our side. Corey went in the house, and all of a sudden we hear pow, 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 like knocks at our door. And it was that guy saying to Corey, "Hey man, you got a problem? What's your problem, dude? Are you okay? What's your problem?" I never even knew this guy's name, and Corey's like, "Oh no, I just returned your towel for you because it fell over and I didn't want someone to run it over or step on it and whatever." And he's like, "Okay, just wondering if you got a problem, let me know, man. How you doing, man?" And then Corey's like, "No, I'm fine. Everything's cool." It was so bad that like he would keep locks on his garage, which it's not his property. He rents it from a landlord, and they weren't given those locks, but he had multiple locks with keys on like all of his garage doors, all of his equipment. I never seen him go to work or anything, but he would always spend time in his garage, him and his wife, and the landlord would come over and be screaming at them like with a deadbolt cutter to try to take the lock off. He's like, "I pay rent here, you can't do that, it's my problem." This guy was just like on another level, right? So Corey didn't want to like mess with him because he knew that he was either high or doing something or who knows what. Anyways, so the first person after him when we first moved into this place, because that guy wasn't even in our building, the people in our actual apartment duplex complex, that was another level. We had this woman, I'm not gonna name names, which I wish I could because it's the same name as a YouTuber on here. This woman, another level, man. At first really nice. She had 2 cars. They're both Mercedes Benzes. Not judging, just odd because she was a telemarketer that worked from home. And very like, she was nice and decent to us, but then when we weren't home or like we were home late at night, we would hear screaming. And it turns out I met like her daughter, and her daughter had this like worried look when I met her, like, "Oh, nice to meet you. Is my mom okay?" And I'm like, that's odd to just first meet me and say, "Is my mom okay?" It's just signs, red flags, start out. This woman that was downstairs asked me what I did for a living. I just say I do makeup. Say, "Oh, my daughter's in like, you know, she manages like, she's the director of plays at schools and you should talk to her. You guys would get along great. You're like around her age or something." And I'm like, oh. So when I met her, like the daughter was really standoffish and odd. That was her mom that was living under me. And this lady had a boyfriend who would come over. But every time he'd come over, there'd be a discrepancy or a problem that I thought they just had a bad relationship. She didn't get along because she'd end up screaming at him. But then when he wasn't there, and for a while, like she would be screaming at herself. And she had these manic bipolar stages. It turns out I was told that she's bipolar by her mother that would come over, and she was bipolar and would get off her meds and go crazy and threaten to kill even if whoever came into her house and herself. And it got so bad that there's an older, very sweet couple that lived in the front part of our duplex, the most expensive one, and the lady would be home alone a lot of the times when her husband was away, and she would search for Corey when this would happen because, you know, Corey's a big dude, like 6 foot tall, covered in tattoos, like he looks like a big tough dude. So she would be looking for him, scared because she's home alone, and she hears this woman scream that she's gonna murder herself and everybody. And Corey's like telling this woman, like, you can always come to our apartment and look for me if you're really scared. And if I'm home, I'll help you, and I'll stay with you if you feel threatened or anything. And then it got even worse. Like, this progressed to, we got new neighbors, because the first neighbor that when we moved into really next door to us, was this older, really nice Latino guy. Everything was great about him, except he would scream karaoke into his microphone till past 3 in the morning with his friends on work nights, school nights, not just weekends, like multiple times. And he didn't have much furniture in there so it was echoey, and he didn't have carpet. It was all tile, so it was just a big echo chamber of screaming karaoke. And he loved it. He'd get drunk and just scream karaoke, which is great until I had to like work on set or something the next day. And he only stayed there 3 months and moved out for some reason. I don't know. I didn't even complain about his karaoke to the landlord. But when he moved out after 3 months, a new couple moved in, and they're multiracial, black and white, really cute, very like skinny, tiny couple. And the guy had a daughter from another relationship, and he had this girlfriend he's been with for like 9 years, right? I'm like, oh, this could be nice. They seem like a decent, nice couple. And maybe they don't scream karaoke till past 3 in the morning. And we were all for it, except for the lady downstairs, who's the manic bipolar. I don't even want to label her as bipolar because my boyfriend's bipolar. I know a lot of people are bipolar, and bipolar people don't act like this when they really take care of themselves, and you can't label all bipolar having the same symptoms and reactions and traits. But she would always go off her meds, not take them on time. And it was to the point where they shared the same, like her ceiling is their floor. So this guy would be up for work at like 5 in the morning, make his protein shake, go to the gym. He was like super jacked, like tiny but jacked dude. And he had like a routine, right? He worked in construction. He was a construction and electrician. I think he was like one of those, he was a contractor, but that also specialized in electricity and construction. I know this because he told me all about his life. And we had a good relationship with him at first. But that lady was like, you guys are so loud. And she called his girlfriend the N-word. It came out. And they wanted to smash her face in. The lady that was called that had such a bad temper. I would too. After being called such a bad, oh my gosh, so bad. So it was like war. Every day they're screaming at each other, right? You guys are so loud. And she would call them trash, all this stuff. And we had this security camera on our door that recorded everything, and I would send it to these neighbors. So I felt so bad for them because this lady was being so racist, loud, and bad, right? Because she was like threatening to punch them in the face and was started pushing each other. I'm like, this could get bad. I didn't want to get involved in it. And finally, it took a turn for a crazy loop. First of all, the lady downstairs, who was the manic, crazy lady that was calling them trash and all types of names, she was getting so just off the handle that she was, I don't know if she was still not taking her medicine or mixing it, but she definitely mixed it with some drugs because I would see her drinking all the time. She came, we heard sirens come to our duplex apartment place, and it was not one, not two, but at least 3 cops, and they had her handcuffed because they followed her home because she ran over someone in a red light and trashed her car and tried to act like it wasn't her fault, and she was either drunk, on a lot of drugs, or both, and she definitely got a DUI. And this definitely wasn't her first time, because Corey was just coming home and heard everything, waiting for the cops to leave so that he could get up to, because there's only one way into our apartment. So that was interesting. They definitely arrested her, and that wasn't definitely not the first time that's happened for her. It's a really sad situation. My heart still goes out to people in that situation. But if you're gonna be racist, it's just so sad. And the cops just hauled her away. That night, this weird van came on the property and was looking through her stuff, because I'm sure she went to some sort of rehab facility or was in jail. I'm pretty sure she went to jail. It was so sad because her boyfriend came to pick all her stuff up and someone else had to move in, right? Someone else had to move in, because that woman's in jail. She can't pay rent no more. She don't live there no more. I wonder if they sold her Mercedes Benzes and got her out. I hope not, because I think she harmed someone else during her DUI, is what I heard. Anyway, so once she moved out, thank God, we were like telling the neighbors, thank goodness that she moved out. She was getting physical with our neighbors and calling them racist stuff. It's so wrong. So we were ready to call the cops on her anyways. But, so this other neighbors next door that she was being racist to was like being like a little too nice. Like, I'm the type of person, I don't get too friendly with my neighbors. They invited us to a 4th of July party and we just had some chips and left. Pretending like we had other plans, but we're homebodies and don't. So we had chips and left. And they had a daughter, right? They had their family over. It seemed normal. It seemed grand. Because they were so persistent about us being there that we felt rude if we didn't at least show up for like 30 minutes, was what we did. And they were like, once we were there, it was so much persistentness of like, oh, you guys, what kind of music do you guys like? Let's go to concerts together. Bro, do you work out? Let's work out together, bro. And stuff like that. I'm like, do they want to sleep with us? Like, what's happening here? Because one was 25 years older than us and one was almost 20 years older than us. And not that age is but a number, but it was just odd. And they had a kid that was like equal distance. She was like a teenager, equal distance to my age than I was from their age. It was just odd. That should have been a warning sign. There's those red flags, Kat. Do you see them? We're flagging them in your face. He was telling us about his life, how he got over drug addiction, which is, I'm like, awesome, that's great, that's grand. Got over drugs. That's so weird because my phone just went off and the name of the person was one of those couples that I'm talking about right now who was getting this racist hate crime on. So the boyfriend was like, just got off these drugs, man. I'm trying to make my life better. I've been over 8 years sober, have my daughter with me, living with me now. It's all grand. And we're like, that's amazing, dude. That's awesome. And then it got weird. So I have to work a lot. Corey was in school getting his welding stuff done. I was like traveling everywhere for work. And then I had to leave Corey home alone. But I still had stuff on my security camera that I could access my security camera from my phone, basically. So anyone that came to our front door, because I didn't want packages, that's why I got in the first place. I didn't want packages being stolen from me. So I got that security camera, and I always ask my landlords, can I install this? They're always like, great, yeah, of course. They understood because I was the only reliable rental person they've had. And I started seeing random dudes on my security camera that weren't those neighbors. Random guys. I saw one random guy who was drunk, wasted, out of his mind, come to near my door, because we shared the same like stairwell and we shared the same patio surface to go to each door was right by each other, right? On our second floor of the duplex that we shared with these neighbors. And this guy, the guy was with that relationship with the girlfriend that he was standing up for against the hate crimes with. They've been together for almost 10 years. He was with this guy. Maybe I don't know people, I don't want to know people's business, but he was kissing this dude. The gym bro, that bro, who's like, I work in construction. I don't label people. You could be whatever you want. They, him, LGBTQ, I don't, as long as you're happy not harming me, I don't care. But when you bring over people who are leaving mysterious yellow liquids that look like pee on my front porch, then I start to get upset. Because there's mysterious yellow liquid all over where I have to step to get out of my house, the only exit point of my house, to leave mysterious yellow smelly liquid that smells like pee everywhere. So I have the girlfriend's number, texting her, hey, what's this mysterious yellow liquid on her porch? Have you seen it? Because she's a germaphobe, and it made me surprised that it was there for over a day, because she worked at Disney and she had to pass it but left it there. And I thought she'd be like, oh, sorry, my stepdaughter, my boyfriend's daughter, someone dropped juice. That smells like pee. Dropped juice or something there. But you know, when people have issues and if you bring up something that triggers the issue, sometimes germs or whatever, they get upset. Yeah, she got really upset at me. I'm like, just, can you clean that up? Because we didn't do it and it's been there for more than a day. And she got really upset at me. So upset that her and her boyfriend would wait till my boyfriend was gone and they'd corner me in my own house in front of my house, screaming in my face, feeling like they were about to push me when I was home alone. And it turned sour real quick. They did that multiple times. Talking to other neighbors below us that were new, nice, normal people, the only nice, normal neighbors that I've had practically, talking about, pointing at us how terrible of people we are, talking to the neighbors we didn't know how terrible we are because we just asked if they could clean up a mess they made. And it got crazier because the guy that he started bringing over that he was kissing in the front yard, and he was also hitting the girlfriend, they started doing drugs. They got back on drugs after 8 years sober. He got the drugs from the crazy guy with the towels with the alcoholic wife across the next door. That's where he got his drugs from because they're friends now. And he was spiraling real bad. Spiraling so much that his daughter wasn't always coming home and she would get locked out of her own house, and I would try to help her, but we were screaming for her dad to open the house, but he was passed out from drugs and couldn't wake up. He was so passed out from drugs one time, he put backpacks and clothes inside of his bathtub with the water on. That's how spiraled out he was, and flooded his apartment, the apartment below, the apartment in front, and luckily we didn't share that wall of his apartment to ours, so we didn't have to evacuate a flooded duplex. We were the only place, knock on something, that we didn't have to evacuate from a flood that he caused because he was so on drugs that he thought it'd be fun to wash his clothes and backpack in a bathtub with the water on and fall asleep. And the poor lady that was the normal nice couple below them that they were trying to talk bad about us to had a newborn child's nursery that was just below where the flood was starting, so the water was trickling onto this poor infant's face. It was interesting, to say the least. So, where were we? Okay, so the guy that got back on drugs that was right next door to us with the daughter, he got a notice by our landlord that he had so many days to move out because they were causing property damage. And he was trying to figure out who told on him. But it's like, if you're causing property damage and it was sourced from your apartment, why would anyone need to tell on you? What do you mean? He would go to our apartment, the apartment downstairs, who told on him? And I'm like, what do you, no one told on you. I don't like to have beef with my neighbors, so even though he was like crazy, we didn't tell. I'm mixing both Prowl and King of the Jungle from this palette. And then I'm also gonna put Flexitarian, tried and true from ColourPop. But it got so bad before he was moved out that we had to buy a brand new mattress because ours was just on its way out. and I bought a mattress that was supposed to be hand delivered by like people with gloves that brought it into my place, not just left it on my front door. They were supposed to bring it into my place, open it up for me, right? So I was gonna be home alone when this happened because Corey was gonna be gone, and I was waiting for this delivery. The doorbell rings. I look through the people, look on my security cameras. It's one of the delivery guys because I see like all white suit type dress or white type of long sleeve something like this holding my mattress with the logo of my mattress. I'm like, cool, open the door. It's not the delivery people, it's the crazy guy that got back on drugs that flooded the apartment, pretending to be a delivery person to get into my apartment, almost looking like he's on tears, finally admitting to me he's back on drugs from being off of it after 8 years. And I hope I'm not being discriminative towards anybody who's bipolarism, my boyfriend's bipolar, or anybody on drugs who are recovering from drugs. This is just what I've been experiencing and just a portion of it. I've had a lot of drugs in my family. I've had a lot of addictions and everything. But yeah, he was just admitting to me that he's back on drugs and he's gonna get better, but that they just got their notice, and that's when he was approaching me. Did you tell on us to the landlord? And I'm like, what? No, I would never. Like, I'm not that type of person. I don't rat people out to landlords. That's just not how I live. Being 1000% honest, because I didn't. And once they moved out, the nice couple downstairs, like, yeah, we were the ones that ratted him out to the landlord that he's back on drugs because he flooded that apartment, like putting our infant newborn babies life at stake because it was flooding into his nursery, and he was being threatening with us. And I found out he was being just as equally weird with them as he was with us, so that when they were talking trash about us to those downstairs neighbors, they didn't believe it because they're like, this guy's insane, so why would he believe him? And it's so sad because we were all they were like really super nice, helpful, great neighbors, and then they had to move. And once they moved, there's one more neighbor crazy story. I'm trying to think of what, yeah, even though this one's pretty gold, I might use this one. So once they moved, there was this woman that moved in, and she had 3 kids. 3 kids in a 2-bedroom apartment. Okay. Again, she moved in, everything was going great. She was yelling at some guy when she was unpacking her stuff so bad. They were screaming at each other that everyone was like, what is going on? Non-stop yelling, screaming, like, and we shook their hands, like, nice to meet you, even though we just saw them yelling at each other, because it's just an awkward situation with this guy and her that was holding her mood that I assumed was her boyfriend, and it was her boyfriend that she introduced us to us as. And once they moved in, after a couple weeks, it started getting weird. Our landlord would come by, not unexpectedly. He always let us know since the day we moved in that he would come by twice a month because he would tend to the gardens. He had to empty out, we had a quarter laundry machine mat. He would empty that out. He would sweep the grounds, you know, trim the gardens, do all that stuff, which is super cool because I was never like the type of person that was bad with my rent, and I had a good relationship with him. And I thought, and he would like ask me if everything was okay, do you have any crazy neighbors? And even if there was, like, and I didn't want to rat out all my neighbors, were like, yeah, everything's fine. But he had a problem with the neighbors, the new neighbors downstairs. She was claiming more racist things, that he was being racist towards her because she wasn't paying her rent. So he would, when she wouldn't answer his letters, voicemails, or anything, she was just not having it, saying that he's being racist, but she wasn't paying rent. And he had a business partner that took care of that apartment complex that she was in, so he didn't really know her that well, but was the official owner, like, hey, you owe money, what's up? And she was like, you guys are probably nice with other people, you're being racist towards me because I'm African, I'm black, I'm African American. And she's gonna take him to court. And it turns out, while this was going on, we were just living our regular lives. We didn't even know this was going on until I talked to my landlord about it. He called me and told me this was going on, in case we hear yelling downstairs, of him yelling at them. Oh my gosh, I forgot about this highlighter. I want to include some now. But while that was going on and the landlord wasn't there, that sounds weird, we would be living our everyday lives and we get knocks at our door. Not only our door, but the neighbors, all the neighbors in the complex's doors were knocked by a bounty hunter who was after our neighbor downstairs' boyfriend, who she took out of jail. Ooh, why did I use the eyeshadow? I forgot about this. She took him out of jail and he was hitting her kids, come to find out. And he was, a bounty hunter was coming after him. Whoo, child. And Corey is like, what? He's like, have you heard? The bounty hunter was like, have you seen any suspicious activity? We're looking for this man. And Corey's like, I think you're talking about the guy downstairs? And he's like, yeah. Corey's like, yeah, we see him here sometimes, but like every time the bounty hunter came, it's like that guy knew and he was never home. But he's at home other times. I felt so bad for this woman's kids because they were like living off of like the worst, cheapest food. And she had 2 Mercedes-Benz, her and her boyfriend each had one. Again, not trying to like misjudge, mislabel, but these kids are getting beaten. They are living off of barely anything while their mom and her boyfriend are riding around in Mercedes, and they're living with a convict that these kids are all like 10 and under, 3 boys, right close to each other's age. They don't probably even know what a convict is. And it's kind of scary because like, I'm gonna try this mascara that's in this collection. I didn't tell a lot of my immediate friends and family all the details of this because I was scared that they would never come and see me again. I'd be left alone with it, and that they'd be scared for my life when I had Corey there. I felt like we kind of had it under control a little bit. So this mascara, when I saw on Bretman's, it's like there's a flat side and then there's this side that's a curve. So it's like 2 different positions that you can use this mascara. It's called Bad Bitch Lift Mascara. I love how they let him use whatever wording and names they wanted. So if you want a lot of volume, you could get that. If you saw Bretman Rock's mascara I just messed up. Mascara reviews on Instagram, I lived for them. I've seen all of them. Again, I've been a big Bretman Rock fan my whole time he's been on here. But it's just sad and scary when kids are stuck in it, because both the situations of that guy getting back on drugs and this lady downstairs would record my landlord saying, I'm taking you to court because you're being racist towards me, asking for rent and all this stuff, and it's not her fault or something, when she was the one that I don't understand. And why would my landlord be racist when he's had all different types of ethnicities of people? He was actually the best landlord I've had so far. It's just that, I don't know what it was, if he picked bad people to rent to. I think maybe that was it. Maybe he wasn't a good judge of character, because he legally had to start putting up signs in like our common areas of our laundry room and stuff that's saying this is a racist free zone or something. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, we all know, dude, you're not racist and that you just had a crazy tenant. Because he's rented to all types of racists before this woman was claiming all this stuff. Anyways, this mascara is okay, but since it's not waterproof, my eyelashes are going straight again even after curling them. I'm gonna put on lashes and eyeliner in my waterline. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back with these lashes. Are big, bold, and insane. These are from Dollar Lash Club in the style Kylie. Oh my gosh, they could touch my eyebrows. I just feel like if we're doing a bold eye, why not have bold lashes to match? I feel like the contrast of the boldness of the eyes with the light gloss lips. Let me just break down these products. We use the colors Venomous, Big Peacock Energy, Alpha, a mix of King of the Jungle and Prowl in the inner corners and highlights. This palette is amazing, so worth the money in my opinion. Not much fallout. Even though I did my eyeshadow first, I did buff the bottom lash line. with my foundation on. The foundation I use today, of course, is Wet n Wild's Photo Focus Foundation. I got the best compliment ever from my boyfriend on it because he focuses all these videos and he's like, it's hard to focus your videos lately because your skin looks so clear, and he said that ever since I've been using this dewy Photo Focus Wet n Wild foundation. Ooh, I need to set with this. Oh my gosh, that smells like coconuts. If you like coconuts, it's like sparkly, but not too much. Very dewy sparkle. It's not like chunky sparkle. This is nice. I think the eyeshadows and glosses are my favorite. I layered 2 colors of glosses. I used Fearless and Ferocity on top. They don't feel too sticky. They're great. I haven't used a gloss this good since I tried the Shane Dawson collab with Jeffree Star Cosmetics glosses. That was bomb. This is pretty good as well. The highlight's pretty bomb. I love that there's 2 different colors, so it's like they have a lighter for a lighter tone to complement and a deeper for a deeper skin tone to complement, but you could switch it and use it without. This darker tone will look great as eyeshadow. They both look great as eyeshadows as well, like eyeshadow topper. Oh my gosh. Everything in this collection is so good. He did so good at selecting. Like, I love the scent of this, even though I'm not a shimmery, like, spritzer person. This is pretty darn good too. The thing I least liked was the Bad Bitch Lift Mascara, only because this will work great for you, but for my eyelashes are so flat, I need waterproof mascara with how watery my eyes are because I'm a contact lens user. I have eye allergies. But if you're looking for a good affordable mascara, I love the shape of this wand. I can use it in 2 different ways. There's a thicker curve and then there's more flat end. That's pretty awesome. This collaboration is one of the best ones I have reviewed in a very long while, since the first Jaclyn Hill eyeshadow palette collab with the company. I'm trying to think if there's any other collabs I absolutely love. I really did like the e.l.f. J. Kissa eyeshadow palette. I can't think off the top of my head, but this one's pretty darn good. I feel like I didn't do like an extreme eye look with all the different colors that this palette has the potential to be so versatile. I just did a green, very dark, bold look that kind of matches my background, but I absolutely love it if you're doing something super dramatic and crazy a little bit outside of the box to be very different. I love this color. Was the one that Bretman loved the most too, was the big peacock energy so much that I really wanted to make that stand out in this look, and I feel like I accomplished that. And oh my gosh, I just love that color so much, and that color works so good with the black of the alpha color, the venomous, and it will work really well with Anaconda and the purple color, Feeling Myself. So pretty. I absolutely love this. I can't wait to play with this palette some more. I'm just so proud. Even though Bretman does not know me, I feel like a proud stan. I feel like no matter what, I gotta look mad in this makeup. When I have very serious makeup on like this, I feel like I always look mad even if I smile. Like I feel, I don't know what it is. I don't mean to be. And I don't mean to, I hope you guys didn't take any offense to anything I said about crazy neighbors in this video. I just think it's a topic that we can all relate to. We all have neighbors, crazy or not, especially lately. Like, we have to be stuck inside, most of us, and deal with neighbors. I've had some crazy neighbor stories. I hope you guys had a laugh and a giggle and enjoyed. Leave a comment down below on your craziest neighbor story. I would really love to know. I know Corey would love reading it too. I was gonna bring him on to help me hash it out in this video, but he said that I'm such a better storyteller than he is, and he didn't want to distract me from doing my makeup too much, because just me talking alone while doing makeup, doing these, I have so much fun, but I can get distracted easily. I'm sure this video is a century long, but so I better go. I'll see you guys in the next video, creators. Can't wait to read your comments. Love y'all. Subscribe to this channel. I do videos twice a week, every Monday and Friday, and I'll see you, creators, in another video. Bye.